For today's Grimm adventure, we're in a place that we can't exactly tell you where we are. I will say this, we're doing a tour of the KNB EFX studios. Special effects, makeup, artistry, puppets seen on things like The Walking Dead and the Creepshow series and a bunch of other spooky things that have terrified us over the years. Now, if you don't know what KNB is, Kurtzman, Nicotero, and Howard Berger are the people who founded this special effects company. And the guy who's giving us the tour is Howard Berger himself.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
Hi, I'm Howard Berger. We're here at KNB EFX Group Inc. in beautiful California. And we're going to look at a bunch of really cool things today. So as you can see, I'm sort of surrounded by Creepshow. We got this cool guy from Greg Nicotero's Creepshow Season 1 and some other cool stuff on the wall. But we're going to see some really, really cool things. We pulled out a bunch of fan favorites today, so you guys can all be privy to what we do here at KNB. And just a quick thing, KNB has been around for 35 years. It's owned by myself and Greg Nicotero. You might know Greg from The Walking Dead show. And most excitingly, I have a book coming out with my co-author, Marshall Julius. It'll be out in September, and you can pre-order it on Amazon.com in the US or the UK. And it's going to be great. It's all about makeup effects, so what more could you want in life? All right, guys, why don't we go ahead and start our tour. We're going to go into my office. So what I love about my office is it's all this cool stuff that I always wanted when I was a kid. So when you're a makeup effects guy and you grow up, you get to make stuff that you always dreamed of having. All right, so this is Howard's Book of Knowledge. And these are all my collections of letters and notes I got from Dick Smith when I was a kid. And that's the original Dick Smith blood formula. Look at all the bloody fingerprints all over it from me mixing it.
Authentic.
Yep, this came from Dick's house. There's Dick's address. Tons of stuff, all his formulas, foam rubber, everything. So yeah, this whole book is filled with all the notes. Look, handwritten old age stipple formulas. This is all the stuff Dick sent me when I was a kid, because I used to correspond with him when I was like 10 years old. And I'd say like, how do you make blood? And he'd send me the thing. It's like, this is how we make blood. So I save those. I use those still. I use all my notes. Not much has changed, just different, formulas and so forth. But I love this book, yeah. I cherish it. So yeah, this magazine, so Cine Fantastique, which was I love this magazine. Yet another great magazine that doesn't exist anymore. But this issue is really wonderful because you've got the filming of Conan, which is one of my all-time favorite films. There's Creepshow in here, there's Dark Crystal. But I went to a screening at USC when I was a kid before this movie came out. They had like an alumni screening. Not that I went to USC, but the makers did. And John Milius was there, and I shoved this in his face, and he autographed it for me. Arnold Schwarzenegger was there. I got him to sign it. It's just, there's Arnold's signature. I have Basil Palladores, who did the score right there. And I remember he's like, I have a photo just like this of me holding a gun and a knife, so I'm going to sign that picture. And I was like, God, this film is so great. So, I mean, it's just one great thing after another. And these magazines are priceless to me because, again, it's like this is part of my childhood. And this is before, there are no ads in this magazine. This is all for fans, Nowadays, you can't find anything. These magazines are all gone. They all went out of business, or they're all digital. And, to be able, there's Swamp Thing, Wes Craven's Swamp Thing. To be able to like hold this in your hand and just go, God, it's tangible, and you can look through it. So I save these and cherish these, like my original Fangorias, my Cine Fantastics, my Cinefex, my Movie Magic. All those are just great, great shows. So, and great magazines about great movies that I grew up on. Yeah. So there's a lot of things in this room, and I love them all. They all mean something to me. But if there was, like, God forbid, an earthquake or a fire, and I had to grab like 5 things, that would be tough. Well, I would say I'd grab my Academy Award. I'd grab my Millennium Falcon from 1977. I would probably grab my blaster from Star Wars from 1977 that I got for Christmas. And I would, okay, so there's 3 things. I would probably grab my big Iron Giant. There's 4. And then I would grab the photo of my autographed Rico Browning Creature from the Black Lagoon photo. There you go. There's five things. Although my wife will be mad because some of her paintings are in here, and I would grab those if I could do 6 or 7. But those are the things. Oh, wait a minute. No, and also, I'm sorry, the original Gunner Funhouse head, I would have to grab that because that's the only one in existence. So there you go. I'm going to trade out, sorry Iron Giant, I'm going to leave Iron Giant and I'm going to take the Gunner head from Funhouse. Well, let's go down this way. We'll go see some more exciting things. I'm going to take you into the hair room. So we have different departments here at KNB. And so this is the room where they do all the hair work, like making wigs and tying lace pieces and facial pieces. So that's Lynn. Wave, Lynn. Hi. So Lynn is working on a wig right now. But as you can see, there's a bunch of different heads, there's a bunch of different wigs. We make hundreds and hundreds of wigs and facial pieces. This whole thing here, these are all individual facial pieces. So for instance, let's say, oh, you know what, I need some eyebrows that are red, all right, for a character. And there you go, look at all those eyebrows. So what's crazy about this is all this hair is tied one hair at a time into this very fine lace. So it's, I would go nuts if I did it, but Lynn doesn't go crazy. She's already crazy, so she doesn't go crazy, any crazier. So, or we'll do beards. You know, sometimes an actor can't grow a beard, so we'll make the beard. Or if he's clean shaven in the beginning of the film, but then has to have a beard later on, obviously there's no time to grow a beard. So we'll hand tie this beard, which is a beautiful piece. And then even down to ears, like let's say you have a creature who's got fuzzy ears. So, and this is a silicone, and all the hair is punched into it one hair at a time. So we had a film that, we had a character that played in this quite a bit, and we had hundreds of these ears. So Lynn and the team here just sat here and punching ears for probably a good couple months. So that's our hair room. Let's see, we can go down here. We'll go out to the main shop. We can't really shoot out here just because what's in here. So we're in the main shop, and there's a lot of things I can't show because there's really super sensitive projects going on here. But there's a couple things you're going to be able to see. You know, for instance, like these Walking Dead molds. So this area is where we make all the dead bodies. So if you see Walking Dead or any show for that matter, bodies come from here, and that's Dirk. Dirk, there's Dirk. That's Dirk Rogers. Everybody. So Dirk runs this department. He's a lone wolf of one. Yeah, yay. Ooh, yeah. But Dirk makes things, he ends up getting these molds, and we'll run things out of silicone or latex and polyfoam, and there's a whole bunch of different things that he has to do. So like one day I can say, Dirk, I need you to make me a bunch of crush heads because there's going to be a guy that gets crushed. So okay. There's different ways we do that, so that when an actor hits it with a baseball bat or punches it, or it, you know, smashes into a wall, that whole head falls apart and cracks and blood sprays out everywhere. Dirk is the guy behind that. So he's one of the many. Oh, yes, the guy behind me. One of the many great artists here at KNB EFX who has been with us for decades. 20 years. 20 years. I'm gonna have to buy him a watch now or something. So there you go.
So make sure that they're here, here, and here.
Well, but in Spanish, a key. Yes, there you go.
Yes.
So this is Alex Diaz. Alex is one of our key artists here at KNB EFX, and he's working on a sculpture right now, just starting it in clay, and this is how everything starts. So this is called a positive, this gray thing. This is a cast of an actor's body. So Alex is using clay to sculpt what the prosthetic makeup will be. Once this is all sculpted, we'll do a mold. So basically, create a negative impression of Alex's sculpture. Once that's done, we pop it, clean all the clay out, and there's the space that is between the positive and the negative. And that is what we run our foam rubber or silicone or whatever we're running out of it between that, and we squish them together. It sets up, pull it out, and then we have a rubber representation of Alex's sculpture, and that's what ends up getting glued down onto the actor. So this happens to be a chest, it can be a face, it can be hands, it can really be anything, yep. Right?
Yep.
So, but Alex, how long have you been with us?
27 years.
27 years. So you beat Dirk, because Dirk's 20 years.
Yes.
Right. That's
I don't
pretty
know how I made it.
I don't know
I'm
either.
still here.
Pretty good though.
Yeah.
But it's always great to have Alex. Alex is a great sculptor. He's a great painter. He's a really great mind, and he barely ever complains. That's the only light. Yes, can I please? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, it was a pleasure, thanks. There you go. And this was good work for the week. There you go. So this is the foam room. So as you saw, all the molds in there and everything. And this is Derek Kraut. Derek is the supervisor in this department. He figures out how we're going to do it all and how we're going to run everything. So molds, once they're done sculpting and went through the mold department, they come in here, and then Derek and his team run everything. So if you want, take a look around. You can see there's, right now they're prepping molds, but we have these giant mixers. Think about like if you're making bread. It's almost like you're gonna knead the bread and then you're gonna put it in the oven. That's basically the same process, except that foam rubber doesn't taste nearly as good as bread does. But we have these giant mixers, and the guys are working at this all the time. And again, it being foam rubber, being silicone, really whatever it takes. So, but it's a lot of stuff. And then Derek has all these books up here that have all the pieces we've ever made. So that way, if we ever have to reference something, I can be on set and call Derek, and that's why you saw all the numbers on the molds. I can say, listen, I need 5 more of 205, whatever that is. And then Derek will go to the book, pull that mold out, give it to the guys, they run it, and Derek is just responsible for everybody here and make sure everybody's, gets the job done, and everything that comes out of this department is high quality. And that's why we have team leaders in all the different departments. That way everybody, there's always somebody that we can go to, Greg, myself, or Carrie Jones, who's our shop supervisor, can go to and make sure there's quality control, and that there's always just one person to go to. And Derek's our guy for that, right, Derek?
That's right.
Cool. So this is the hallway, one of the many hallways here at KNB, and Greg and I decided years ago, we used to have posters up of all the movies we worked on. We still do. You can see Reservoir Dogs, Inglourious Basterds, Oz the Great and Powerful. But we started putting up photos on the walls of things of on set. And we thought that was far more interesting to look at. Like there's Greg and Andy and Scott on Walking Dead, and then myself and Jamie Foxx and my crew from Amazing Spider-Man. There's also maquettes from Predators, Robert Rodriguez's Predators. So we did these as study sculptures, and then these ended up being produced as model kits for Sideshow Toys. Some award stuff. Oh, the awards, yes, of course. More zombie stuff from Walking Dead. China Girl from Oz the Great and Powerful. All right, I'm going to take you guys into the display room. And along the way, there's some really cool groovy ghoulies, as you'll see here. There's cool masks that we did for Creepshow Season 1 for Greg Nicotero's show. And then, of course, there's the Creep right there from Creepshow. And a bunch of cool Walking Dead zombie stuff. And again, more photos of people working on set. We find that really inspires the guys as well. They get to come through and they see, and they're like, oh, yeah, hey, looking up there, there's, Kevin Wasner applying a Frankenstein makeup to Jake Garber. And it's just kind of cool stuff. So our display room, this used to be just all display, but now we're so much into digital printing, we have digital printers as well in here. But we can start looking over this way first. And this is all our cool display stuff.
Oh,
so
my word.
we just have some really, really cool things. Our full-size standing Jason and the Argonauts, and a bunch of other maquette stuff, other stuff from Creepshow, from Spawn, Predators. We have a full standing Predator over there, a bunch of helmets, baby Danny Trejo. You can't live without that. So yeah, so this area is all Creepshow stuff, the Creepshow, the TV series, and this giant spider is something that Greg wrote into the episode, where it's about an exterminator, and we built this giant spider. The funny thing is Greg hates spiders. He's terrified of spiders. So when we were building, I'm like, Greg, you can't go near this. But he did. He overcame his fear. But this was a big mechanical spider. And then we also had another episode where there's this girl that turns into kind of like this bee creature. And Greg felt like, well, instead of building a full-size creature, let's do a miniature, and we'll do a miniature puppet, and we'll shoot it at KNB. And that's exactly what we did. And that all stems from our background of loving movies and growing up on Ray Harryhausen and really what the magic is. It's not like what is easy. It's like we could easily say, oh, this should just be digital. But we didn't want to go that route. You know, Greg was like, I want to do a miniature. I want to build puppets. You know, even for this guy, this little guy, this is a puppet as well, but he also had a stop motion figure. And in that episode, there's a stop motion animated version of this guy. And it, again, goes back to our true love of monsters and movies and stuff that we grew up on our entire lives. So, but yeah, this is just a good example of like, there's 100 ways to do things, you know? It doesn't always have to be like a full-size monster, or it doesn't always have to be a visual effect, but you can fool people with this. And the way this integrated into the episode, it worked out great. I'm sure nobody saw it and went, oh, that must be a miniature. They're like, wow, look how cool it is. Yeah, no, it's all big stuff.
There's something I've always wondered about when it came to making special effects, like practical special effects and painting and just creating stuff. There's probably no easy answer to this, but how does one get into that like mindset of just creating something so realistic?
Well, I think it's, you know, it's a good question. And nothing's easy. I always say everything's difficult. There's nothing that's just or it's only. But, you know, we have guys here that just know what things look like. You know, they understand what skin looks like. They understand what colors look like. And they have such a love for this stuff, for makeup effects, that they can do anything. You know, like we met Mike Rottola, you know, who's one of the best sculptors ever. And
Instagram, Mikey Rotz.
Yeah, Mikey Rotz. And you know, we throw things at him all the time, and he just creates these amazing things. And it's just like, we call it like a flesh flow. And it just does, it just feels organic. You know, so I mean, it's practice. I mean, you know, we've all been doing this ever since we were kids. I mean, I started when I was 8 years old, you know, and all of us did. My generation was just like, we're just going to make stuff. And that's really what it is, jumping in and making things. And some people will say like, oh, I'm going to go to a school, or I'm going to do this. I'll watch it on YouTube. Just sit down with clay and just start sculpting, you know, just start figuring stuff out. It's the only way to do it, you know. But these guys are so good, and they've been doing it so long. Like, I feel I have the cream of the crop here at KNB. Like the
Everything we
best.
saw was phenomenal.
Yeah.
There was a few different workstations where they had like reference points, like pictures, and what they were working on looked more realistic than the real photo.
Well, that happens sometimes. Yeah. Well, there's a cinematic level to it, you know. Like, we did a film years ago where we had to do all these autopsy bodies, and we went to see real bodies, and I'm like, they look fake. You know, they don't look real. So then we came back and we're like, okay, well, if we make them like that, everyone's going to think they're crappy and they don't work. So we have to make them cinematic. So we know how to push the edge. You know, we know how to take a sculpture or a paint job and make it look real, but it's over the edge a little bit, because you know how it's going to translate on film. And also what the audience thinks is real too. If they saw things that were real, you know, in real life, they'd be like, that looks so fake, you know?
Right.
But then it's up to us to like, okay, we're going to kind of maneuver this, and maybe it's not 100% correct, but it looks great on film. And that's really it. And that works in the context of the storytelling, because that's also what we're doing. We're part of the storytelling. And what we do is, it's not just that we think about our job and we just create a monster. It's like, where did that monster come from? What was that monster doing before this movie? You know, we kind of come up with a whole world, you know, like what was this zombie's life like before he was a zombie?
Oh,
you
man,
know?
I never thought of that.
Yeah, and that just brings it more to life. Like, there's backstories to everything. It's not just like, and then a monster shows up. But why? You know, why is it built like this? Why is the alien built like that? Why is the predator built like that? And we always think about things like that, you know, and that helps us develop and design and then bring it to life. So it's not just a monster standing there. It has a life prior to it being in a movie.
Jessica has this wonderful, she loves to pick noses.
Yes.
And I don't know.
There's a lot of noses here to pick. So, you know.
She's smiling.
Jessica, if you want to pick a nose.
Can we let her pick a nose?
You can pick a nose, sure. You have to pick something to pick its nose.
Oh, man.
What do you want to pick?
It's funny that the question that you were asking earlier, because as you're answering, it made me think of the history of blood in cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the blood used in cinema in no way looks like what blood actually looks like in real life, because it's so bright.
Yeah.
It looks fake, but our minds don't believe blood is that bright on film.
Right.
But it really is.
It is. And speaking of bloods, because we make our own bloods, we have, it's the same formula I've been using since I was a kid, which I got from Dick Smith. And prior to Dick Smith recreating like what we or design or creating rather the blood that we use now in movies, was a company called 3M. And they had a blood which, like, if you watch the films of the 60s and 70s, it's like cadmium, like orange, you know. And I think it looks cool. I love it. Like Dawn of the Dead blood, it's real specific, but it doesn't look real.
Right.
So Dick Smith came up with a formula, and that's what we all use for the most part. And we have all different types of blood. Like we have pumping blood, we have zombie blood, we have vampire blood, we even have blood, Tarantino blood. And the Tarantino blood is because Quentin loves the 3M blood. And so we made a bunch of blood that looks like the 3M blood. And we used that. First time I used it was on Kill Bill. So I did it because he wanted that blood on all the swords. And he kept saying like, Japanese sword blood. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about, Japanese sword blood. And I was thinking, I know what he means, the 3M blood. So I took the blood I had and went upstairs and I like poured milk into it and mixed it up and made it real opaque. And I'm like this? And he's like, yeah, I knew you had it. And I'm like, okay. So then I ended up making a bunch. So we have a bunch of blood that it's called low light, but it's really been designed for Quentin. So it's very specific. But blood is a very specific thing for us. Like I'll see a movie and the blood work is terrible. Yeah. Like especially when it's beaded up, because blood doesn't bead up, it sheaths. And drives me nuts. I'm like, that's the worst blood I've ever seen. Or it doesn't, or it's placed, or if the costume department puts blood on a costume and it just is like sitting there like little droplets. But the trick is you wet the shirt, spray it down, put the blood on, and then the blood seeps. Okay. Because obviously when blood gets on the fabric, the sebum separates. Right. And then you get that like nice brown ring around, which is the sebum separating from the blood. And those are things that I always look for. So whenever I'm doing a movie and I'm working with the costume department and we're blooding it up, I'm like, I'll do it. Let me do it. Like, oh no, I'm really good at that. I'm like, no, I got it. And I give it a quick little spray, put blood, and it seeps. And they're like, oh my God, that looks so real. And I'm like, that's why I'm going to do all the blood on the show.
Industry secrets.
There you go. See? But you know,
if you want to know how to make real blood, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, the blood is all different. Like the blood in your neck, it looks different than the blood in your fingertip, than the blood in your nose. So, you know, your nose blood is like really red. Like it's like a bright red, yeah. But if, you know, arterial spray is not
darker?
It's darker, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's more of it, or just the oxygenation?
I think it has to do with the oxygenation, yeah.
So much science.
So it's all science.
So much science.
Everything's science, you and your science. So there's a couple other things over here if you want to take a look.
I'm going to let Jessica pick a nose.
Oh yeah, come on. Which guy? You want to pick that guy's nose? All right. That's the RV zombie from Walking Dead.
You just ate it?
Did you eat the zombie booger?
I think we need to contain her.
Yes.
Right.
So this is the last existing piece from Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness, which was we called him Buckethead, but this is all that exists from that film, nothing else. So that's the original armor and a pull out of the mold of that skeleton puppet. And then we've got Sir Anthony Hopkins as Hitchcock, which is a makeup we did, and we did a display head. Jeremy, who you met earlier, sculpted that. And then Greg and I are big Twilight Zone and Outer Limits fans, so we did recreations, and this goes back to like, you know, there's things that don't exist anymore from film and TV, so it's like, oh, I always wanted to have a six-fingered alien, so Greg and I went ahead and we're like, let's do a six-fingered alien, you know? And always just really super fun things. And it's really like making toys for ourselves, and that's what we do.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yep, and then that's Mila Kunis from Oz the Great and Powerful. And then again, we're like, I would love to have Mother from Psycho, so let's make it. So, and that head was sculpted by Norman Cabrera, who's another great monster maker. And then we have Andros, which was played by Martin Landau for Outer Limits. Another classic Outer Limits character we wanted to recreate. So this is Greg's office. It's a tad messy.
It's okay.
Yeah.
All artists.
Greg has a lot of cool stuff in here.
Yeah.
But as you can see, Greg loves the classic monsters. These are, I think, a combination of Mike Hill and some stuff we had done, Nick Mara. But yeah, this is Greg's office, which is pretty cool. And usually Greg's sitting right there, but he's not today. So Greg is a huge collector, and he values all these things. So one of the things that we really love is this is Raoul from Creepshow, the original Creepshow movie that Tom Savini created, and Greg was able to get this. And there he is. You know, that's film history right there. And again, that's
immediately saw it and I knew what it was.
It's
That's
really, really
awesome.
cool. Yeah, all part of film history.
So before we go, I have to ask you the Grimm interview.
All right, ask.
In your career, in everything you've done, do you have a moment where you look back and you go, man, I can't believe I was a part of that? Like
Oh,
a
yeah.
wow moment.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of movies, but I have to say, like, people have asked me what my favorite film is, and that I worked on, and I have to say it's Chronicles of Narnia, because that movie to me was so magical and such a special event. It took 2 years of my life, and the just being it was such an immersive experience being part of it, and the team that was put together by director Andrew Adamson and producer Mark Johnson was amazing. And we all became family, and we're still, after 15, 16 years, still family. And it was a little bit like paralleling the book, you know, in the film. We all lived in the real world, and then we went into Narnia for 9 months, and then we came out of the wardrobe, and we were all depressed afterwards. But it was such a great adventure. It was my greatest adventure. Also, what made it important was it's the very first time I worked on a film that my kids were able to visit the set. And I had young children, 3 of them. And they were able to be on set, and they were able to see the movie. Because up until that point, they're not going to go see Nightmare Part 5, or they're not going to go see Evil Dead 2, or all these other movies, but they were going to go see Narnia. And it was really a great experience. And yeah, I look back at it with huge fond memories, and I loved every moment of it. Hey, thanks for coming. I hope everybody enjoyed the visit here at KNB EFX Group. Greg and I are glad you all got to come here and check it all out. Also, remember, pre-order your Masters of Makeup Effects book. Comes out in the UK and the US. Mid-September, you can get it on Amazon. Also, some signings coming up on the 18th of September at Dark Delicacies if you're in Burbank. Please come to that. Great store. Awesome place, tons of cool things to buy, and that's going to be Dark Delicacies on the September 18th. And then at the Academy Museum, there will be another signing with some really cool special guests, and that's going to be on the 25th of September from 1 to 3. So you want to make sure to come to that. And at the Dark Delicacy ones, there's going to be like 25 contributors. So you're going to get your book signed by 25 amazing filmmakers and makeup effects people, as well as myself and Marshall Julius, who is my co-author. So thanks for coming. I hope you had a great time. We're happy you got to see the shop. Wish I could have showed you everything that's behind those magic doors, but you'll go see it in the movie theater, so that'll be great. So thanks for coming, guys.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.